The registry beacon blinked twice. Curaçao's left eye cycled to infrared without her permission. Her console speaker clicked. Archive consoles did not click. She read the manifest. Location, Carruth's Edge. Registry, human. Date, 847 years pre-contact. She keyed the coordinates. The signal was inside the ergosphere of a black hole. No physics allowed that. The scan was wrong, or the manifest was a lie, or the ship was not dead. The air in the archive chamber smelled of ozone and old paper. The white stone walls held the cold of 11,000 winters. Curaçao had been an archivist for 147 years. She had cataloged 3,000 lost vessels. None had moved. None had been found inside a black hole. She reached for her stylus. The tip was chipped. She set it down. You should know how the archive works. We catalog things after they stop moving. This one hadn't started. She pulled the human file. The archive had 3,847,000 vessels in its records. 12 were human, all post-contact, all accounted for, all dead. She cross-referenced a phrase she had seen once in a marginal note from a dead Valley archivist, the dormant. The file was classified myth, created 6,000 years ago. It contained 3 lines, 12 ships, 6 singularities, a vigil. There was no evidence. There was never evidence. She called Director Threx. The Vorkai's image flickered onto her screen, skin the color of dried blood. Ceremonial plate armor, even in a holographic call. His left mandible clicked once. "You are wasting my time," he said. "The manifest has a human vessel at Carruth's Edge." "Impossible. Humanity has 500 years of deep space heritage. You are reading a ghost." "The coordinates are inside the ergosphere." Threx paused. 3 seconds of silence. In 89 years of administrative service, he had never paused for 3 seconds. "That vessel is unregistered salvage. I'm authorizing the remembrance to secure it. Your job is to inventory the wreck when it arrives." She wanted to argue. She had spent 147 years reading the dead. She knew the difference between a ghost and a signal, but Threx had never admitted being wrong. She was not going to be the one to make him start. She pushed the navigation data to the remembrance anyway. She was not authorized to do that. She did it anyway. Captain Veritan sat in the bridge of the remembrance. The salvage cutter was small, with a crew of 18. Her mother's jacket hung around her shoulders, faded green fabric from the northern continent. Her mother had died in the expansion purges. Tan wore the jacket because it was warm and because her mother had worn it when she taught Tan to read star charts. The cameras were active. The feed showed the warship. 2.3 kilometers bow to stern. Hull black with radiation scoring. No running lights. No engine signature. It hung in the dark like something that had forgotten how to fall. "It shouldn't be there," said Ussal, her systems officer, a young Kavani barely 60. "It's there," Tan said. She opened a channel, conclave standard, nothing. She tried archaic human bands, nothing. She tried emergency beacons that had been dormant for 600 years, nothing. Then the hull shifted. Panels along the midsection moved. Not weapons, not shields, sensors, optics, arrays unfolding like a body stretching after a long sleep. The entire forward section rotated 3 degrees and locked into place. Tan's hand went to the throttle. Ussal, the running lights. Ussal counted. 347. They're not random, they're in a sequence. The lights blinked, one after the other. Tan leaned forward. She had studied pre-contact human naval codes in a salvage history course 50 years ago. The pattern was obsolete. A 347 light protocol, decommissioned before first contact. It shouldn't exist. It spelled 5 letters. AWAKE. The speaker on the remembrance bridge crackled. A voice, layered with static and centuries of recorded silence. "This is Commander Silas Vance, HSV Resolute. We have been waiting for 72 cycles. Your signal is recognized. Your authority is not. Tan looked at Ussal. Ussal looked at the screen. The warship had opened its eyes. It was not dead. The bridge of the remembrance held the silence for 4 full seconds. Then every alarm on the console lit up at once. His signal is coming from inside, Ussal said. Her voice had gone high. The ergosphere, he's transmitting from inside the black hole. That's not possible, Tan said. He's doing it. Tan looked at the screen. The warship was holding orbit at a distance that should have shredded its hull. The radiation readings were off the scale. Nothing should be alive in that zone. Nothing should be transmitting. She keyed the intercom. All hands, code black. No one approaches the anomaly. No one opens a channel without my authorization. The crew moved. She heard boots on the deck plates. Someone was praying in the old tongue. She ignored it. She opened a channel to Kurasal. Archivist, tell me you saw that. The vidlink flickered. Kurasal's synthetic eye was cycling through infrared visible light ultraviolet. She was agitated. Her voice came through flat. I saw it. I recorded it. I'm transmitting it to Threx. He's going to explode. He's going to do what he always does. He's going to deny. And then, Kurasal's natural eye narrowed. Then I'm going to remind him that the Conclave has been wrong before. We just don't archive it. Threx's face filled the screen before Tan could reply. The Vorkai's mandibles were clicking rapidly now. His ceremonial armor glittered in the harsh light of his office. Behind him, the walls of the Salvage Authority headquarters loomed in dark stone. You will withdraw, he said, immediately. Tan stayed calm. Commander Vance has identified himself. He has claimed authority over that vessel. Claimed, he has claimed. That is not the same as having. The Conclave has been governing this sector for 9,000 years. Humanity has been in deep space for 500. You are a salvage operation. You will secure the vessel and bring its contents to the archive for classification. That is not a request. This isn't salvage, Director. This is first contact. Then you should have come with more guns. He cut the channel. Tan stared at the blank screen. Ussal was watching her. The rest of the bridge crew was watching her. 18 lives. 1 cutter. 1 impossible warship that had just told the Conclave its authority was not recognized. She opened the channel again. Commander Vance, this is Captain Veritan of the Salvage Vessel Remembrance. I'm not going to secure your ship. I'm going to listen. But you need to tell me what I'm hearing. Static, then the voice again. Calm, measured, older than any voice she had ever heard. Captain Tan, I have a question for you. How long have you been cataloging the dead? Kurasal sat in the archive chamber and watched the data stream from the remembrance. The white stone walls absorbed the light. The air was cold. She pulled up the file she had created 6,000 years ago on a dead Vali's recommendation. The file was thin. She opened it. The dormant, 12 ships, 6 singularities, pre-contact human naval doctrine, classified myth. The file had no images, no logs, no transmissions, just those words and a single timestamp, 6,003 years before the present. The Vali archivist who wrote it had died the same year. Kurasal keyed a search. She cross-referenced every human vessel in the archive. There were 12. She ran a parallel search through the unclassified salvage logs of the last 6,000 years. She found patterns. A hull fragment, too old for its radiation signature. A transmission burst, archived by accident, with a timestamp that didn't match its origin. A maintenance record from a deep space station that mentioned inert human vessel, coordinates unavailable. She stacked them in sequence. Each one was a piece of a puzzle. Each one had been dismissed as an error. She called the remembrance again. Tan, I'm sending you a fragment, a partial maintenance log from the orbital depot at Geth. It's 5,200 years old. It mentions the Resolute by name. Tan read the fragment, The Resolute, that's the ship we're looking at. The file says the Resolute was damaged at the Geth depot and repaired. But the Resolute was never at Geth. It was built at Earth. It left Earth 847 years before the Conclave knew we existed. It never came back. Then why does the Geth depot have a maintenance log for it? Kurasal paused. Because the Geth depot is one of the six. The six what? The six singularities. The Dormant sent its ships to 6 different black holes. They've been talking to each other for centuries. The Geth depot was built on top of one of them. They didn't know. They just took the Resolute's maintenance reports and filed them. Tan was quiet for a long moment. How many people knew about this? No one. That's what the Vigil is. Not a fleet. A memory. A system that keeps memory alive when everyone else has forgotten. On the screen, the Resolute's cameras captured the remembrance. The warship's sensors had been active for 23 minutes now. The data stream was overwhelming. It had 847 years of maintenance records, diagnostic cycles every 12 years, status bursts every 47. It had been awake the whole time. It had never stopped maintaining itself. Tan keyed the intercom. Lieutenant Okonkwo, I need a channel to Earth. Mara Okonkwo was 28 years old. She had been assigned to the Remembrance for 3 years. Her grandfather's freighter photo was taped inside her helmet. She had grown up hearing stories about Earth. She had never been there. Her hands were steady on the comm board. Earth is 12 light-years away. They won't receive anything for 12 years. They'll receive it eventually. Send everything. The visuals, the transmissions, Vance's voice, everything. Captain, this will be classified as a diplomatic breach. I might lose my commission. I know. Okonkwo sent the packet. 847 years of silence. 2.3 kilometers of warship. One voice. A species that had built monuments to its own memory. Kurasal transmitted the Resolute's data to the archive. She did not ask permission. She did not wait for threats. She pushed every file, every fragment, every piece of the 6,000-year-old mystery into the shared database. The response was immediate. A bureaucratic blockade. A hold order on all data originating from Karuth's edge. Threx's signature at the bottom. His mandibles would be clicking all day. But it was too late. The data had already spread. 6 archivists in 3 sectors had already read it. They had already started asking questions. The silence of the archive was breaking. Kurasal opened Vance's final log entry. The file was 4 minutes and 12 seconds long. She had never watched it. She watched it now. A man sat in a small cabin. The walls were metal. The lighting was low. He had a scar above his left eyebrow, old and white. He was drinking from a chipped ceramic cup. The glaze was faded to old ivory. Steam rose from something that might have been tea. Senior archivist, he said. He did not look at the camera. He was looking at his own hands. You are watching this because you are not supposed to. I want you to know that's okay. The vigil is not a secret. It is a waiting. He took a sip from the cup. You will be told that humans are new, that we have 500 years of deep space heritage, that we are recent emergent species with no history. That is not true. We were here before your records began. We will be here after they end. The camera showed the interior of the ship. Bunk beds, a galley, bookshelves, a human home folded into a warship. The walls were covered in handwriting. Names, dates, messages from the people who had lived there. We launched 12 ships, Vance said. Each one went to a different singularity. Each one carried the same cargo, every book, every song, every memory we had made since we climbed out of the trees. We built it into the hull. We wrote it on the walls. We put it in the maintenance logs and the diagnostic cycles. The ship remembers everything. The cup was empty. He set it down on the console. It sat there, old ivory against the metal. We did not build the vigil to fight aliens. We built it to fight forgetting. He leaned back. The scar on his eyebrow caught the light. The conclave will find us. When they do, they will try to classify us. They will put us in a file and say we are new, that we don't matter, that we have no history. He smiled. It was not a happy smile. But history is not what is written in archives. History is what is remembered in the dark, inside black holes, in radiation-harvested silence, in cups that mothers pass to sons. We built the vigil to wait until the galaxy was ready to hear the truth. It seems it is ready now. The log ended. Kurasal sat in the white stone chamber. Her synthetic eye cycled one full spectrum and stopped. The air smelled of ozone and old paper. The walls held the cold. She had catalogued 3,000 dead vessels. She had never watched one speak. Threx was still denying. His administrative hold had been extended to a full sector-wide blackout. No transmissions in or out of Karuth's edge. The entire archive network had been locked down. He was calling it a containment protocol. The real word was panic. He appeared on Kurasal's screen 2 hours later. His mandibles were still. His voice was flat. He had gone past anger into something colder. You overstepped. I transmitted data that was already public. Nothing about the dormant is public. That classification existed for a reason. The Vali knew what they were doing when they hid it. The Vali hid it because they were afraid of what it meant. I transmitted it because what it means is true. Threx's eyes narrowed. You are a senior archivist. You are not a soldier. You are not an ambassador. You are not a judge. You catalog things after they stop moving. This ship is moving. Leave it to the people who handle moving things. The people who handle moving things are about to start shooting. That warship is not hostile. It is waiting. It has been waiting for 847 years. It will keep waiting if we let it. But if we try to salvage it, if we try to classify it, if we try to pretend it doesn't exist, it will not wait forever. Threx was quiet. The silence stretched. In the background of his office, the stone walls of the Salvage Authority headquarters glowed faintly. The ceremonial plate on his shoulders seemed heavier than it had before. Kurasal, you have been an archivist for 147 years. You have never been wrong. Do not start now. He cut the channel. She sat in the white chamber. The cup from Vance's log sat on her mental screen, old ivory against metal. The steam had long since gone cold. The cup had not. She keyed the remembrance channel. Tan, I need to show you something. The feed from Vance's cabin appeared on Tan's screen. She watched the log in silence. When it ended, she did not speak for a long moment. Then she said something Kurasal did not expect. Where is he now? Who? Vance, the man in the log. Where is he now? Kurasal checked the Resolute's internal sensor data. The log was recorded 42 cycles ago. He's still on the bridge. He's been sitting in the same chair for 42 cycles. He has not moved. Is he alive? He's not dead. The ship's life support is running. His brain activity shows a sleep-like state. The ship is maintaining him. For how long? Until the vigil ends. Until someone hears the truth and remembers. Tan looked at the screen. The Resolute hung in the dark. 2.3 kilometers of memory. 847 years of waiting. One man sitting in a chair with a cup that his mother had given him. Okonkwo, Tan said. Send the log to Earth, send everything. It'll take 12 years to arrive. Then the galaxy needs to be ready to hear it in 12 years. Kurasal closed the file. She did not file it. She left it open on her console. The cup faced up, counted. The remembrance's alarms were still silent. The Resolute was not attacking. It was not retreating. It was waiting. But Threx was not waiting. Threx was mobilizing. 4 salvage tugs from the Geth Depot were already en route, armed. He had classified the Resolute as a salvage target. He had classified Vance's transmission as a hoax. He had classified the dormant as a myth again. the way it had always been. Curacao watched the tugs converge on the edge of Caruth's belt. They were 12 hours out. They were armed with tractors and cutting beams. They would try to secure the hull. They would try to board. She looked at the cup on her mental screen. Old ivory, cold steam, human memory folded into ceramic. She sent a message to the remembrance, "Stop them." Tan did not reply for a full minute. When she did, her voice was tight. "Curacao. That is an order from the director of the Salvage Authority. That is an order from a man who has never admitted he was wrong. The Conclave has been wrong about humanity for 9,000 years. It is time to stop being wrong." The Remembrance's engines fired. Tan was moving the cutter between the Resolute and the approaching tugs. She had no guns. She had no armor. She had a 16-year-old cutter with a crew of 18. But she had the truth, and she had Vance's voice. The tugs were still 12 hours out. The vigil was not over. The Remembrance's engines held steady. The tugs were 11 hours out now. Tan watched the tactical display and counted the vessels on approach. 4 salvage tugs, armed. Each one carried a tractor beam rated for derelicts twice the Resolute's size. Can they take her? They can try. The Resolute's hull is rated for radiation scoring at the ergosphere boundary. Tractor beams won't scratch it. Then what are they planning? Usal's voice dropped. They're planning to board. They'll clamp onto the hull and cut through. The Resolute is built to withstand radiation, not boarding parties. Tan keyed the intercom. "Weapons status. Cutting charges only. We're not a warship." Then we make them think we are. Activate the distress beacon. Full spectrum. Tell anyone listening that the Salvage Authority is attempting an illegal seizure of a pre-contact human vessel. Okonkwo's hands moved across the comm board. "Beacon active. It'll reach the nearest Conclave station in 8 hours. By then the tugs will be here. Then we buy 8 hours." Tan turned to the screen. The Resolute hung in the dark, 2.3 kilometers of human history, one man in a chair. She opened the channel again. "Commander Vance, I know you can hear me. The tugs will be here in 11 hours. They're going to try to board. I need to know if your ship can defend itself." Silence, then the voice, calm, measured, the same tone he had used when he told Threx his authority was invalid. "Captain Tan, the Resolute is not a warship. It is a library. It carries no weapons." "Then what do I do?" "You do what you have been doing. You remember." Curacao watched the data feed from the Remembrance. The tugs were approaching. Threx had mobilized. The archives network was locked down. She had broken every protocol in her 147 years of service. She was not done. She pulled the Geth depot fragment again. The maintenance log from 5,200 years ago. The Resolute had been at Geth, but the Resolute had never been at Geth. It had been at the Singularity. The Singularity was under Geth. The depot was built on top of it. The Conclave had been sitting on a human ship for 5,000 years and never noticed. She searched the archive for Geth. The depot had been built 6,200 years ago. The original survey had noted anomalous energy readings at the site. The surveyor had recommended further study. The recommendation was filed. It was never acted on. She found the surveyor's name, Volley. The same species as the archivist who had created the dormant file. The same species that had been correct about so many things. She sent a message to the Remembrance. "Tan, the Resolute is not the only ship." Tan's voice came back tight. "What do you mean?" "The dormant was 12 ships, 6 singularities. The Resolute is at Caruth's edge. The Geth depot is on top of another singularity. There's another ship under Geth. There have been 12 ships in 6 singularities this whole time. They've been talking to each other. They've been awake." Tan was quiet. "That means there are 11 more out there." 11 more that the Conclave has been building on top of. The archive has been cataloging them as anomalies, filing them as errors. The whole system has been ignoring them because they didn't fit the record. Tan's voice hardened. Threx doesn't know. Threx knows nothing. He believes the archive is reality. He's about to find out it isn't. Kurasal pulled up the data from the Resolute's diagnostic cycles. The ship had been transmitting status bursts every 47 years. The other 11 ships had been receiving them. They had been replying. The data stream was massive. 847 years of conversation, maintenance logs, updates, messages between ships that had never met. She opened the most recent burst. It was dated 36 hours ago. Status active. Crew 1, Commander Vance in suspended observation. Hull integrity 98%. Radiation harvesters operational. Message for fleet, the archive has noticed. The vigil is nearing its end. She read it again. The archive had noticed. The vigil was nearing its end. She looked at her own hands. They were shaking. She had catalogued 3,000 dead vessels. None had moved. None had spoken. None had been waiting for her. The tugs were 10 hours out. Tan was in the cutter's small galley, drinking water she did not taste. Her mother's jacket was warm on her shoulders. She had worn it for 40 years. It was the only thing she had that remembered her mother. Usal found her there. Captain, the Resolute is doing something. Tan set the cup down. What? Her sensors are changing. The arrays are repositioning. She's not targeting the tugs. She's targeting the singularity. The bridge was alive with alarms when Tan arrived. The Resolute's forward section had rotated another 3 degrees. The sensor arrays were aimed directly at the black hole, not at the Remembrance, not at the tugs, at the dark. What is she doing? Scanning, Usal said. She's scanning the ergosphere. There's something down there. Down where? Inside the black hole. The sensors are detecting a mass. It's not the singularity, it's something else. Tan looked at the screen. The Resolute's data stream was flowing into the Remembrance's systems. The numbers were incomprehensible, but one line stood out. She read it aloud. Secondary target detected. Coordinates confirmed. Echo ship identified. Echo ship. Another vessel, inside the singularity. The Resolute is not alone. Kurasal watched the data on her console. The Resolute had found another ship, inside the ergosphere. It had been there the whole time. The Conclave had been scanning this black hole for 9,000 years and never seen it. The Resolute had seen it in 47 minutes. She pulled the human file again. The 12 ships in the archive, all post-contact, all accounted for, all decoys. She looked at the volley file. The dormant, 12 ships, 6 singularities, a vigil. She keyed the Remembrance. Tan, the ship inside the singularity, it's one of the 12. The Resolute is not the flagship, it's the scout. The other 11 are in the singularities. They've been there the whole time. How do you know? Because the Resolute's transmission says Echo ship identified. That means there's a protocol, a naming convention. Each ship has a designation. The Resolute was Alpha. The one inside the singularity is Echo. There are 10 more. Tan was silent. Then she said something that made Kurasal's synthetic eye cycle back to infrared. The Conclave didn't miss them. The Conclave was built on top of them. The archive was built on top of them. 11,000 years of galactic government, and it was sitting on a network of human memory. Yes. The archive of lost vessels, the salvage authority, the entire conclave, all of it was built on graves that weren't graves. Kurasal's voice was steady. They were never lost, they were never dead, they were waiting. Threx appeared on the Remembrance's screen. His mandibles were still again. He had moved past panic into something colder. The ceremonial plate armor was the only thing that moved. Captain Tan, you will stand down immediately. The tugs are 6 hours out. You are in violation of every salvage regulation in the conclave. Tan looked at him. Director, there are 12 human warships inside 6 singularities. They have been there for 847 years. They are not salvage. They are witnesses. Witnesses to what? To the fact that your records are incomplete. Threx's face tightened. The Conclave has been governing this galaxy for 9,000 years. We have cataloged every species, every vessel, every civilization. Not this one. He cut the channel. Tan stared at the blank screen. Then she opened the channel to Curacao. Archivist, I need you to do something. What? I need you to send Vance's log to every archive station in the sector, not through Threx, through the backup network, the one the archivists use when they want to talk to each other. Curacao was already typing. I was going to do that anyway. Then do it faster. The data stream left the archive chamber. Curaçao's fingers moved across the console. The log file was 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Old ivory, cold steam, a cup that remembered its mother. She sent it to all 27 archive stations in the sector. She sent it to the Valley home world. She sent it to the Cavani Research Institute where she had trained. She sent it to every archive she had ever worked with. The reply was immediate, a cascade of acknowledgments. 27 stations, 3 million personnel, 4,200 species, all of them reading the same file, all of them watching a human commander drink tea and explain what memory meant. Threx's administrative hold could not stop it. The network was older than his authority. It had been built by archivists for archivists. It was designed to preserve truth. Tan watched the acknowledgement scroll across her screen. 6 sectors, 12 ships, 1 cup. She opened a channel to the Resolute. Commander Vance, I don't know if you can hear me, but I need you to know what's happening. The archive is waking up. The tugs are coming, and there are 11 more ships out there. Vance's voice came back. It was the same calm tone, but there was something new underneath it, something like hope. Captain Tan, I have been waiting for 72 cycles. I am not surprised. I am not disappointed. I am ready. The tugs were 4 hours out. The Remembrance's engines held steady. The Resolute's sensors continued to scan the singularity. The Echo ship was still there, waiting. Curaçao sat in the white stone chamber. The air smelled of ozone and old paper. She had cataloged 3,000 dead vessels. She had never cataloged a memory. She keyed the remembrance. Tan, the tugs are coming. You have no weapons. What do you plan to do? Tan's voice was calm. I plan to put myself between them and the ship. I plan to tell them what I know, and I plan to keep talking until they stop to listen. That won't stop boarding parties. No, but it will force them to fire on a conclave-registered vessel. It will force them to explain why they shot at the people who were telling the truth. Curaçao looked at the screen. The remembrance was small, unarmed, 18 lives, 1 cutter. She had broken every rule in the archive to get here. She was not going to stop. She pulled up the Resolute's data again. The diagnostic cycles, the status bursts, the maintenance logs. She had been looking at fragments. She needed the whole picture. She keyed a search. The dormant complete record unredacted. The archive console beeped. Access denied. She keyed her override code. The code she had been given 147 years ago when she became senior archivist. The code that was supposed to unlock everything. Access denied. She tried again. Threx had locked the file. He had classified it as a security risk. He had removed it from the public database. She smiled. It was not a happy smile. She had been an archivist for 147 years. She knew every back door in the system. She had built half of them. She keyed the backup network, the same network she had used to send Vance's log, the same network that was older than Threx. She typed 3 words. Give me everything. The data stream opened. 6,000 years of files, survey reports, maintenance logs, transit records, every fragment that had been classified myth and forgotten, every piece of the dormant that had been hidden. She read it all. 12 ships, 6 singularities, pre-contact human naval doctrine, radiation harvesters, 12-year diagnostic cycles, 47-year status bursts. A plan written when humanity had just reached the stars and realized the conclave was coming. The plan was simple. The conclave would classify them. They would be recent emergent species with no deep space heritage. They would be absorbed. They would be forgotten. The ships were built to prevent that. They were not weapons. They were libraries. They were memory. They were proof that humanity had been here before the conclave's records began. Curacao sat back. Her synthetic eye cycled one full spectrum. The white stone walls absorbed the light. The cup sat on her mental screen, old ivory against the metal. The steam had long since gone cold. The cup had not. The tugs were 2 hours out. Tan was on the bridge. Her mother's jacket was warm. The Resolute was on the screen. The Echo ship was still there, waiting. She opened the channel. Commander Vance, I need to ask you something. Ask. The vigil, it ended when the Resolute woke. Why now? Vance was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, softer, older. Because the galaxy is ready to hear the truth. Because the conclave has been lying for long enough. Because my mother gave me a cup and told me to remember. And I remembered. Tan looked at her own hands. They were steady. She had been afraid for 40 years. She was not afraid anymore. Thank you, Commander. Thank me when the truth is heard. The tugs were 1 hour out. Curacao sent the data to the Remembrance. All of it, 12 ships, 6 singularities, 847 years of waiting, the Conclave's institutional blindness. The Vali archivist who had believed, the cup that remembered. Tan read it, Usal read it, Okonkwo read it. The Remembrance's engines fired. Tan was moving the cutter directly into the path of the approaching tugs. Usal, open a channel to all 4 tugs, broadcast frequency, scramble it if you have to. Channel open. Tan looked at the screen. The tugs were on the edge of visual range, salvage vessels, armed. They were coming to cut open a piece of history. She spoke. This is Captain Veritan of the Conclave Registered Vessel Remembrance. You are approaching a sovereign human vessel. That vessel was launched 847 years before first contact. It is not salvage. It is a cultural archive. You will stand down. Silence, then a voice, gruff, authoritative. Captain Tan, stand aside. You are obstructing a salvage operation. I am obstructing an act of cultural destruction. You are about to cut into a vessel that has been waiting for 847 years. It contains the memory of a species that built monuments inside black holes. You will not touch it. The tugs did not slow. They were 15 minutes out. Tan did not move. Okonkwo's voice came over the intercom. Captain, I have a message from the Geth Depot. The Vali ambassador is requesting a conference. They want to talk about the dormant. Tan did not turn. Tell them I'm busy. They're not waiting. They're broadcasting sector-wide. The data stream opened. A Vali voice, old, measured, the accent of a species that had been watching for 11,000 years. This is Ambassador Usal of the Vali Conquered. We have been observing the Karuth's Edge situation. We have read Archivist Curacao's transmission. We are prepared to confirm the dormant's existence. We are prepared to certify the human vessels as cultural heritage. We are prepared to stand against the salvage authority. Threx's voice broke in. That is not your authority. The salvage authority has jurisdiction. Usal's voice was calm. The salvage authority has been wrong for 6,000 years. The Vali have been correct for 11,000. We are correct now. The tugs were 10 minutes out. Tan looked at the screen. The Resolute hung in the dark, 2.3 kilometers of memory, one cup, one voice. The Echo ship inside the Singularity was still waiting. She opened the channel to Kurasal, Archivist. I need one more thing. What? I need you to transmit Vance's log again, to every archive station in the Conclave, not just the sector, every station. Kurasal's voice was steady. I already did. Tan smiled. I know, but I wanted to hear you say it. The tugs were 5 minutes out. Tan did not move. The tugs were 5 minutes out. Tan did not move. She reached for the cup on her console. It was not Vance's cup. It was hers. A plain metal mug dented from years of use. She took a sip of water. It was cold. She set it down. Okonkwo opened a channel to the tugs. Visual. The screen flickered. The tug commander's face appeared. A Vorkai, young, with the hard look of someone who had never been wrong. Captain Tan, you have 3 minutes to clear the approach. You will not board that vessel. That vessel is unregistered salvage under Salvage Authority jurisdiction. You are obstructing a lawful operation. Tan looked at the screen. The Resolute was behind her. The Echo ship was inside the Singularity. The Volley ambassador was watching. The galaxy was watching. Commander, do you know what the dormant is? The Vorkai's eyes narrowed. I know it's a myth. It's 12 ships, 6 singularities, 847 years of waiting. Your own depot at Geth was built on top of one of them. You've been sitting on human history for 5,000 years and you never noticed. Your time is running out. Then listen to this. She keyed the Resolute's feed. Vance's voice filled the channel. Your records are incomplete. We were here before your records began. We will be here after they end. The Vorkai's face changed. Something moved behind his eyes. Doubt. That's a recording. It's a transmission. The ship is alive. Its commander is awake, and there are 11 more just like it. The tug slowed. The Vorkai looked off-screen, consulting with someone. The seconds stretched. Then Threx's voice broke through. That vessel is salvage. Board it now. The Vorkai hesitated. Director, the Volley are. The Volley have no authority. Board it. The tugs resumed speed, 2 minutes out. Tan looked at the Resolute. The ship's forward section rotated again. The sensor arrays shifted. Then the hull began to glow, not weapons, not shields, a pattern of running lights. 347 of them, blinking in sequence. It was spelling something, a single word. Remember. The Echo ship inside the Singularity answered. Its own lights flickered through the radiation. Another word. Humanity. Threx's voice screamed through the channel. Fire on the cutter if you have to. Just get to that hull. The tug's weapons powered up. Tan saw the targeting systems lock onto the Remembrance. She did not flinch. Captain Ussal said, they're going to fire. I know. Your mother's jacket. I know. The tugs fired. The beam missed. It struck the edge of the Resolute's hull and dissipated. The ship did not even shudder. Vance's voice came through, calm and clear. Captain Tan, the Resolute has been absorbing radiation from a black hole for 847 years. Your tugs have cutting beams designed for derelict hulls. The Resolute's hull is not a derelict. The tugs fired again. The beam splashed across the hull and died. Threx was screaming, concentrate fire, bring down the shields. There are no shields, Vance said. There is just memory, and memory does not cut. The tugs stopped firing. They hung in the dark, their weapons useless, their commander staring at a hull that would not yield. Tan opened the channel. Threx, it's over. The Volley have certified the dormant. The archive network has broadcast Vance's log to every sector. The Conclave knows. You cannot classify a truth that everyone has already seen. Threx was silent, 7 seconds. Then his voice came back flat and hollow. This is not over. This is a bureaucratic dispute. It will be litigated for decades. Let it be litigated. The truth will still be here. The ships will still be here. The cup will still be here. She looked at the Resolute. The running lights had stopped blinking. The word remember had faded. The hull was quiet. Vance spoke one last time. The vigil is ended. We remember. Now you remember too. The Echo ship inside the Singularity began to move. It emerged from the ergosphere, slow and deliberate. It was smaller than the Resolute. Its hull was black with the same radiation scoring. Its running lights blinked a single word. Home. Tan watched it come, the second human warship, the first to emerge from its waiting place. Vance's voice again. We have been apart for centuries. We are together now. Curacao sat in the white stone chamber. The data from the Resolute and the Echo ship was flooding her console. She cataloged none of it. She just watched. The archive had cataloged 3,000 dead vessels. None had moved. None had spoken. None had returned home. She keyed a message to the remembrance. Tan, the other ships, the other 10, are they coming? Tan's voice came back, tired and triumphant. They're already moving. The Resolute sent a wake-up call. They've been waiting for it. How long until they arrive? Weeks, months, years, but they're coming. The vigil is ending everywhere. Curacao leaned back. Her synthetic eye cycled one full spectrum and stopped. The white stone walls held the cold. The air smelled of ozone and old paper. She opened Vance's log again. 4 minutes 12 seconds, the cup, the steam. The scar above his eyebrow. She looked at her own console. She had a cup. It was ceramic glazed white with a chip on the rim. She had had it for 40 years. She did not know where it came from. She touched the chip. It was smooth, worn by time. She transmitted Vance's message to every archive station. Not just the log, not just the data, the message. Your records are incomplete. We were here before your records began. We will be here after they end. The reply came from every sector, a cascade of acknowledgments. 3,847 stations, 4,200 species, one truth. Threx appeared on her screen one last time. His mandibles were still, his armor was dull, his eyes were empty. Curacao, you have destroyed the salvage authority. You have destroyed my career. You have destroyed 9,000 years of institutional certainty. She looked at him. No, Director, I have not destroyed anything. I have just shown you what was already there. The records were incomplete. They have always been incomplete. Threx did not reply. He cut the channel. Curacao sat alone in the white chamber. The cup was still on her console. The chip on the rim caught the light. She thought of Vance's cup. Old ivory, cold steam, a mother's gift. She thought of her own cup. White ceramic, a chip on the rim. She had had it for 40 years. She had never thought about it. She did not file the log. She did not archive the data. She left it open on her console. The cup faced up, counted. Tan stood on the bridge of the remembrance. The Resolute and the Echo ship hung in the dark together. 2 human vessels, 2 centuries of waiting, 1 reunion. Her mother's jacket was warm on her shoulders. She opened a channel to the Resolute. Commander Vance, what happens now? Vance's voice came back, softer than before. Now we begin. The vigil held memory. The ending holds the future. We will tell the galaxy what we remember, and we will listen to what the galaxy remembers. Where will you go? Home, we have been away long enough. The other ships will gather. We will return to Earth. How long will that take? 47 years. We are patient. We have always been patient. Tan nodded. I'll be here when you get back. I know you will. The Resolute's engines fired, slow, measured. The ship began to move away from the Singularity toward the deep dark. The Echo ship followed. 2 lights moving together. Tan watched them until they were gone. The remembrance's cameras tracked them into the void. She sat down in her chair. The metal cup was still on the console, cold water untouched. She picked it up, she drank, it was still cold. She set it down. Kurasal sat in the white chamber. The data stream from the Resolute was still active. The ships were moving. The other 10 were waking. The galaxy was listening. She reached for her cup, white ceramic, chipped rim. She turned it over in her hands. The glaze was worn. The chip was old. She had had it for 40 years, since the radiation burst that took her eye. She had never asked where it came from. She looked at the bottom. There was a mark, a small symbol, a human symbol, a letter. V. She stared at it. Vance's cup had been old ivory. This was white, but the chip was the same shape, the same smooth wear. She had been holding a piece of human history for 40 years and never known. She did not file it. She did not archive it. She set it down next to her console. The cup faced up, counted. The silence at Karuth's edge was over. The galaxy heard.